In our last video, Granger, Walker, and I crossed the Sea of Cortez from La Paz, Baja to Mazatlán, Sinaloa via the TMC ferry. The journey was roughly 14 hours, and we pulled off the boat at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. After a quick pit stop for Granger to go potty, we hopped on the toll road heading south. While the toll road in Mexico can be a bit expensive, it's usually much quicker and considered the safest option in certain areas. One of the main reasons I decided to head straight to Tepic was the fact that I had seen campground photos on iOverlander, and I knew Granger would love the large grassy area after being stuck in the camper on the ferry for so long. Even Walker was excited to get out and explore some. The next morning, we hopped back on the toll road and headed to the land of blue agave, a town aptly named Tequila. So I just made it to Tequila, Mexico. Right now I'm just parked in a parking lot for a soccer field. It was on iOverlander. They said it costs 50 pesos to park for the night, but nobody's come by yet to collect any money, so we'll see if somebody shows up sometime. After setting up camp, aka parking the truck, I went out and explored downtown Tequila. After 2 months in Baja, it was sort of refreshing to realize that I was one of the few foreign tourists exploring the area. The next day, I took a semi-private tour of Casa Sauza Distillery. Since I was the only one who didn't speak Spanish on the tour, I got my own personal tour guide to fill me in on all of the details in English. The tour started off with a quick drive in the distillery's own little trolley out to the Casa Sauza Blue Agave Tour Farm. They showed us how the farmers plant the young blue agave plants, which they get paid 2 to 3 pesos per plant. Unless the terrain is steep, then it increases to 4 pesos per plant. They can plant anywhere from 800 to 1,000 plants in a day. A humidor is the name of a farmer who harvests the agave plant. When it comes to harvesting the blue agave, the plants are anywhere from 7 to 10 years old. This is when the piña, which is the core of the agave plant, has the highest sugar content. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to film the rest of the tour after visiting the farm, except for these pretty courtyards outside the barrel warehouse and the actual distillery plant. To finish off the tour, we had the opportunity to make our own canned torito, which is a drink made of tequila, fresh squeezed orange, grapefruit, and lime, some squirt soda, and served in a traditional clay cup. After the tour, I made my way back to camp and watched an evening soccer game from the scout window. The next morning, the animals and I loaded up and got back on the road. We drove about 20 minutes down the road to Tres Mujeres Distillery. I arrived at Tres Mujeres Distillery 10 minutes after it opened, and it appeared that they were still setting up for the day. I didn't see any signs for official tours, so I wandered around the property on my own. While Tres Mujeres is a much smaller distillery than Casa Sauza, it was quite an enjoyable time wandering around at my own free will and being allowed to film pretty much anywhere, including their very unique underground barrel storage. After about 45 minutes of wandering, I purchased a tequila popsicle and went back to hang out with the animals for a bit before hitting the road. Granger, Walker, and I all headed down towards Lake Chapala to find a place to camp for the next couple of nights while we waited for Dani to fly back from Ohio. We ended up in a parking lot near the waterfront in the town of Chapala. Granger and I walked along the waterfront multiple times a day and were often entertained by the four men swinging in circles upside down from a giant pole. Not quite sure what the story was behind them, but it was definitely interesting to watch. Today is Monday. It is the day Dani flies back from Ohio. She's been there for about 2 weeks visiting family. So Granger and I are out for a quick run before we gotta head up to the airport and pick her up. After our morning run, we headed off to get some errands done before heading to the airport. First stop, restocking on groceries. Second stop, refilling our Dometic Go water jugs at a filtered watered location. And now, off to the Guadalajara airport. Currently parked and waiting for Dani to make it through immigrations and customs, and then I'll be swinging down to pick her up. It's been a little bit of a confusing process because there's a lot of height restrictions here at this airport. I wasn't able to go into the parking area because there's a 2.5 meter limitation, and then I wasn't even able to pull around through the departure and arrival drop-off and pickup because there's a 3.1 meter limit there, and we're about 3.4 meters if I remember correctly. So I am now currently just parked illegally over by where I think pilots and flight attendants and other staff park, a couple minutes away from the airport, and Dani's gonna have to kind of walk out somewhere, and I'll go pick her up from there. Alright, well I just got told by security that I'm not allowed to park here, but thankfully Dani has gotten her bags and is making her way through customs, so I'm gonna do a quick U-turn out of here, and hopefully she's out by the circle that I need to pick her up at by the time I get there.
It was an exhausting day, especially with having to carry the bags out to meet Mike. But I'm so glad to be back with Mike and the animals, and now driving around interior Mexico for the very first time. Knowing I would need some dedicated time to rest after traveling back from Ohio, Mike found a nice campground to post up for a few days on the western side of Lake Chapala.